On today's panel, we were talking about the last 10 years and how we've managed to shape digital businesses in terms of, what's happened between 1999 and now. And we're also talking a bit about the what's going to happen going forward, which is a very interesting time to be looking at it, not just because of the changes on the web and the changes to the publishing industries, but also because we're right in the eye of a massive financial storm. So there's quite a lot to talk about. I think the current financial climate is going to have a really profound effect on everybody, because I don't think most people who are in the industry now haven't really lived, and they certainly haven't worked through a genuine recession. And it's an incredibly destabilising and scary place to be when revenues that you thought were guaranteed completely disappear off the face of a cliff, and also where your borrowing is under pressure because nobody will lend you any extra money, and the money that you are borrowing goes up and up in terms of interest. And I think that actually you will see a lot of people go out of business, unfortunately, particularly in a world where you've got publishing businesses that perhaps haven't grown their online revenues as quickly as their offline revenues are declining. I think there are two challenges for businesses who are online and offline, which actually is most publishers still. One of them is institutional, and that's how do you integrate with each other? How do you make the best of the resources you've got to capture the rising digital revenues? And the other is strategic, which is how do you integrate with the web, which has changed a great deal since 2005, to an extent that even established web businesses are now really sort of having to scrabble to keep up with the change. So I think those are the two things that people are now focusing on. And in terms of integrating with the web, it really means looking at hyper-distributing content. And by that I mean putting your content on all sorts of platforms. I think everybody accepts now that just being on your own website is not really enough, that you have to seed your content absolutely everywhere. And I think mixing what you do in terms of format and making the most of the platform, being able to deliver multimedia, incredibly important to advertisers, incredibly important to audiences. I think the AAP is really effective because it's very focused on practitioners, what's actually happening, getting people to kind of share what they know, and it's very focused. It's very focused around the UK publishing market, and our private grief is very particular, and it's great to have a place to share it. But also it's a very strong lineup this year, and every year you come, I've heard something every year that I didn't know before, and as a media professional you can tend to be saturated by facts and figures, and you tend to think, oh yes, I know all of that, etc. But then you'll find that there's fascinating magazine publisher in Northumberland or something like that who's actually just done something really sort of cool or interesting, and I think that's why these are really important events. I think there's an abiding theme, and I'm not sure it's one that all publishers have got equally yet, which is the technologist is your friend. And that actually the technologist is not just your friend, but the technologist, the really good technologist and the great developer, is a creator in themselves, and the same is true of the audience. And I think too often in editorial organisations, the political capital which inevitably resides with the ad department and the editorial department, actually you need to really kind of put your arms around the technology department, because those are people who sort of really engage with the web environment and think sort of very creative thoughts, and they're not just there to be told do this or do that. And I think that that's an abiding lesson, I think, from my last 10 years in the business.